Firstly, how do you think parents are going to be feeling? We are just days away from the return of school. I feel like we're cutting it very fine here to have a plan.
You're absolutely right about that, Julie. And we've got parents across Australia who've had vaccination appointments cancelled for their children, parents unsure what the plan might be for their state or territory, and no real clear path. Is there going to be surveillance testing? Is there going to be rapid antigen testing? And if it's going to be rapid antigen, how are people going to get their hands on it? And by the way, I just have to say, I think parents might also be scratching their head and shaking their head at this news that the Prime Minister plans to ask so-called national cabinet to allow under 18s children to drive forklifts as a way to alleviate the supply chains. I mean, it is laughable, and it would be laughable if the consequences weren't so serious. Once again, we've got a failure to plan by the Prime Minister.
I only laugh because the internet has been blowing up about this morning. We all thought it was some type of joke or a meme, but just to clarify, yesterday the PM had said some changes might be made to address supply shortages, one of those being around the age of forklift drivers, to get quite specific. So that's something it's hard to sort of get your head around at the moment. But what are your thoughts on the proposed surveillance of testing for children? Because it has been thrown out there perhaps that families could be testing their kids, say, twice a week before they go to school. First of all, is this a practical option? Second of all, where are these rapid antigen tests coming from? What if you have more than one child? It just doesn't seem very practical.
Look, while it might seem good in theory or on paper to do a surveillance type testing, and really there's no doubt we're going to need ongoing testing because quite depressingly to contemplate, Omicron may not be the last variant of this COVID virus. We're going to need some type of system, but we don't have it right now. We simply don't. And that's because the Prime Minister didn't order enough rapid antigen tests. And can I just say, we've had the Prime Minister yesterday saying, oh, who could have predicted? Who could have predicted that we would need all these rapid antigen tests? Well, here's who predicted it. Dr. Katie Allen, the member for Higgins, the Prime Minister's own MP, wrote to him last June telling him, she's a pediatrician, she said we would need these rapid antigen tests. We also had business community write to him in August and raise the matter with him, the need for rapid antigen tests. We had the AMA, the Australian Medical Association, telling him in September that we needed rapid antigen tests. And the TWU told him in October that we would need rapid antigen tests so we would see empty supermarket shelves. Now, we are days away from school. We have empty supermarket shelves. We have parents and teachers not sure what the rules will be for the safe return to school. It's time for the Prime Minister to take this seriously. Stop giving announcements and political messages and start coming up with a practical plan to get us through this pandemic. And, can I just say this, Julie? We've seen this week the deadliest day for Australia since this pandemic began. The consequences here are serious. And if the Prime Minister thinks that letting it rip is the way we're going to go here, he's going to have to face the fact that he's actually tearing our community apart.
Well, just on those announcements, it was announced yesterday that visa application fees will be rebated for students and backpackers arriving in Australia. Scott Morrison's message is come on down and join the workforce. There's also a $3 million tourism campaign aimed at backpackers as well. What do you make of this?
Two things I want to say about this. One, it was an announcement that started to unravel the moment it was made, because the same time Mr. Morrison made that announcement, the United States Centre for Disease Control and the European Union both issued warnings to their citizens not to travel to Australia because of the high rates of COVID. The US CDC even said that even for fully vaccinated people, the risk of catching COVID in Australia was too high. So we've got a circumstance where the Prime Minister thinks he can go out and just market us to the world. But we've got other countries and jurisdictions telling their citizens don't go to Australia, the risk of COVID is too high. The second problem is, relying on temporary migration is not the solution here. We've got circumstances where Australians are desperate to get skills and training. They've been cut off from it since before the pandemic. We Labor believe that, Australia should be a place where Australian workers get a first go and a fair go at jobs. So, it's enough of the announcements. We need a clear plan for migration. We need a clear plan for skills and training. And in reality, Mr. Morrison, the best thing he could do right now to alleviate the skill shortage is make rapid antigen tests free and available. It is simply the easiest, fairest way to get this done.